So I extend a warm welcome for all of you for this month's monthly program. It's been going on for the past 3 years. So this month is the pneumonia, Global Pneumonia Prevention Week. So that to celebrate, we are all assembled here to learn what it is all about. And I request the founder of this institute, J. Srinivasan, and also he's a great human being. We always talk about him, and he's a visionary in the health related issue here, bringing here and making a doctor coming here is one of the person responsible for it, making and propagating the knowledge and health related issue. Anything health comes first, whatever you do research, it end up in health only. And economic growth also depends on the health. No country can progress with ill health. If you have a good health, you earn more good wealth. If you have good wealth, you have got better education and better environment. So that way, Srinivasan is there, and we request him to officially welcome the speaker and the delegates. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Welcome you all for the monthly meeting that Dr. Paramesh organizes on an area of health and environment. And today he has invited an eminent pediatric pulmonologist, Dr. Kalappan, and we'll hear about the impact of environmental pollution on mitigating pneumonia. So I request Dr. Paramesh to introduce the speaker.
The next agenda is the introduction of the subject and the speaker. In this context, I just want to briefly mention a few words about the pneumonia. The World Pneumonia Day, first observed on November 12th, 2009 by the WHO and UNICEF to prevent and to control pneumonias globally, and aiming to have a zero death by 2030. Nearly 2.5 million deaths globally occur from pneumonia. 14% of all death under 5 years related to pneumonia. That comes to 0.74 million as of in 2019. 23% of those deaths do occur in our country. And various risk factors are there, starting the family matter, human and environment and air pollution, whole lot of risk factors are there. And so that's what had happened. ARI control program started, I think 1990. UNICEF, WHO, Indian Academy of Pediatrics have taken a challenge to reduce acute respiratory infection pneumonia death all over the world and also in India. I have taken the task. In 52 weekends, I traveled all over India. I promised by 2015, 1990, 2015, we aimed at reducing the mortality by 60%. And we worked for it, educated a simple way, not an investigation, anything like that. You know, the social workers and also the home visitors and ASHA workers can able to diagnose rapid breathing. That is pneumonia. If you have retracted severe pneumonia, you need admission. Giving the medication in this type, educating the mothers and all this, the propagating this knowledge, we could be able to achieve reduction of the mortality in India 47%. As of 31st of May, December 31st, December 2015. I think we aim for 60%, we achieved only 47%. Yes, we still have to do it. I think when we had in 2007, mortality of India is 87 per 1,000. Singapore was only 4 per 1,000. Kerala was good at that 8 per 1,000 at that time. I think at least aim for Kerala health related issues because the education was there. maternal education. So these are some of the risk factors we are talking about it. And to talk about that, we have none other than Professor Kalappan. He is currently the national president of the IAP National Respiratory Chapter 2024, the former medical director of Consultant Pediatric Pulmonology, SS Institute of Medical Sciences, Research Center, Davanagere in Karnataka. He has received many awards and published many scientific papers in national, international, peer-reviewed journals. And this work uh, related to indoor air pollution. And also he prepared a module in indoor air pollution organized by many conferences and many health issues. I think next year he's going to have the national conference in Davangere. He's already preparing for those things. And he is one of the committed, honest, sincere pulmonologists of our country. And we feel proud to extend the invitation to you. Over to you.
Respected Professor Dr. Srinivasan, all invitees. At the outset, I take this opportunity to thank especially my mentor, my teacher. You'll not know that I did my fellowship under sir. Okay, way back in 2003. We got motivated by Parmeshwar regarding pulmonology. We were basically a pediatrician, but special interest was created in us and made us to choose a specialty, which really sounds very well today. And it is one of the most opted specialty by all youngsters in pediatric. Thank you very much for this opportunity, sir. Without wasting much time, I'll just share with you all about this is one of the most dreaded killer of the childhood, that is pneumonia. And this killer disease, it happens to everyone, everywhere. It doesn't look for whether you are affluent or a poor, whether you are residing in a villa or in a hut. So this disease, how it is relating now slowly to the environmental changes. And that we'll discuss a couple of minutes about that and see what best we can do to mitigate this illness by controlling our environment pollution. What is the magnitude? Already sir has told about this. As I said, this look at this 7,40,000 and odd children under 5 years of age died in year 2019. And it amounts to almost 14%. And if you take above 1 year, till the age of 5 years, it is 22%. That means it is much more significant after the age of 1 year compared to younger. That infancy, there are several other diseases which amounts to the kill, death of the children. As I said, it happens to every families anywhere and highest in the southern Asia and suburban Africa. Because why this is so much? Look at this. If you see the amount of episodes in the developed world and developing world, and the developed world, it is just 0.05, whereas with us it is 0.29 episodes per child per year. And if you see the total out of 160 million new cases per year, 151 millions are with us, especially in India 43 million, China 21 million, Pakistan 10 million, and another 6 other 3 countries. So significant amount of This load is by the developing nations and Southeast Asian countries. And look at this. This is a very interesting slide wherein we see compared to 2000 until 2021. If you see this, look at the amount of, load. You can see here 1,50,000. See, so much increase compared to 2000. Why? Why it is so much increased? Of course, population has increased, but is that the only reason? If you start searching all this, a child dies in pneumonia for every 43 seconds. By the time we finish our talk, nearly 50 children will die because of pneumonia. So much load is there. And that is what very important for us. Every one of us need to be know about this, where we are landing. And this unnoticed cause of air pollution. This unnoticed cause of air pollution is the significant one, which is leading to deaths in children. And how it is happening? What is that? Let us see about this. So we all know that this air pollution, irrespective whether it is outdoor or indoor, it's contamination either by chemical, physical, biological agents and modify the natural characters of the atmosphere. Whatever be the way, and this pollution, if you see this, these are the pollutants. Usually we all know that these pollutants are taken for air quality index, and these pollutants, how they matter to us. See, and look at this. In 2022, particulate matter 2.5 microns, so which is exceeding the annual limit of 40 microgram per cubic meter. Though World Health Organization has set the guideline and it is just 5 micrograms per cubic meter. Indians 40 microgram, but even then it is more than that. So that is what, if you look at these two pictures, they speak themselves. Whether it is urban or a rural, without exception, and some parts of the Himalayan states, and if you see the rural, even part of Rajasthan and Gujarat, they all exceeding more than 60 microgram per cubic meter average. That means they live day in and out in the hazardous air. So the pollution level is so high, and southern parts of the India, okay, it is somewhere between 20 to 30. But if you take the World Health Organization cutoff level, even then it is high. Even then it is high. So how this matter to our children? How this matter to our children? This is the most important thing we all need to know about it. A pregnant mother is not an exception. Even when she breathes in, why I'm telling this? If you see this chart, in womb, the respiratory system starts growing from embryonic stage to the developed lung. Even though full-term baby is born after 9 months, and baby who is weighing more than 2.5 kg, the alveoli are just 10 to the power of 6. That means it is in the primitive stage of development. Though it is matured baby, but respiratory system is in a developing stage. Look at that. By age of 8 years, it almost 30 times it has to grow. So 30 times it has to grow. That means if you think there is any damage or insult happen to this rapidly growing respiratory tree, it will leave behind the permanent insult. And that becomes a handicap for a growing respiratory system. So this, what happens in a pregnant mother, that's a very safe. You all know how safe are our Indian mothers. If you go to the rural ways, this scene is very common. Very common. Because most of them, they rely upon the biomass fuel for cooking. It's a very common, though the government declares more than 80% are having LPG gas. I will tell you that LPG gas, they use it for only cooking food. For boiling water, heating water, then many other modalities, they use still biomass fuel. And this is the most important thing we all need to understand. Why? You look at this. See, level of particulates, if they are using a biomass fuel, it can go up to more than 1,000 microgram meter square. I told initial cutoff was WHO 5. Indian Pollution Control Board is 40, but it can go up to 1,000 here, and it can reach up to 10,000 if they use open fire. Open fire is this. There is no chimney out there. There is no chimney. So that means they can have this much of exposure. Imagine this pregnant lady exposes to this amount of particulate matter. What can happen to her lung? And thereafter, what will happen to this? Let us see that. That's a very interesting story. Look at this. The PM exposure is between 500 to 2000 during cooking. And believe me, in Indian mothers, most of them spend nearly 3 hours to 4 hours in the morning, and again 2.5 hours to 4 hours in the evening in just cooking. And many of them, they don't have a separate kitchen. They will have a kitchen, and they same room they will be even using for sleeping purpose. Single room house, maximum 2 room house. So for living, both for cooking, they use the same thing. And average 24 hours exposure, you see here, it can be 82 to 39 micrograms per cubic meter if they use a safe fuel, that is LPG. So if they use LPG gas, it will be around this, but they use biomass fuel, it can almost go to the extent of 3 to 4 fold. So without exception, even if they have a safest method of cooking, they can be exposed to this much amount of particulate matter. So let us see what is these particulate matters. You all are aware about it. I think I need not tell. These are a very small particles, either liquid particles or solid particles. They are made up of gases and many pollutants. So don't be under the impression that the particulate matters are only emitted by the traffic vehicles, industries. These particulate matters can also form even in this room if the humidity is not good. So that is what is the important thing. What we need to understand is, if you are thinking about outdoor, indoor, several things can happen. I will share all those things with you. And this is the most important thing you need to understand. Even particulate matter, they can be formed inside the house with the whatever available pollutants inside. Just if there is a humidity change and the room is not well ventilated, they can have a chemical reaction, and with the available humidity, they can form the particulate matter and various sizes. It can be 10 micrometer, 5 micrometer, 2.5, even ultra fine particles. They all can be formed out of this. So this is how it looks like. I'm sure you all are aware about this. You see this looks like this, though it is 100 nanometer. And what is interesting out of this, and see the same thing, it is so small, even very, very small, 1 micrometer. Okay. Why I am mentioning about this is, they look so beautiful. They are most dangerous. And as the size of the particle comes down, this is what happens. If it's a larger particulate matter, it will settle in the upper airway up to 10 micrometers. If it is between 10 and 2.5, it will go to the lower respiratory tract and settle down. And we all know this. This is a Brownian diffusion method wherein particles hits and moves around. And that's how they move into this. But if the particle size is less than 2.5 micrometer, then they can directly reach the alveoli and they can get access to the systemic circulation. Means they penetrate the alveoli, get access into the circulation, they goes to the all parts of the body, whether it is a brain cell or it is a hepatic cell or a pancreatic cell or kidney cell. So every part of the body it will reach. So lesser the size, we have to be careful. And the same story I was telling you, the pregnant mother, if she inhale and these particles can get access to her systemic circulation, and thereby they enter the placenta. And from the placenta, they get access into the fetal circulation. That is the beauty of it. And this is what happens. So though it looks like umbilical cord, and it is permitting every pollutant which is emitted out of it, accessibility to the fetus. So what is that then? This is what is the study shown. Look at this, these black carbon particulates from the ambient air. You can see them. They are there in the placental cell. So the electron microscopy has shown them. They are there already in the placental cell. Then what happens? You see, they are so small. I'll just show you. It is so less. You can see this particle. This itself is 10 micrometer. You can see here nanometer. So small particles. Imagine I told you less than 2.5 micrometer only can get access. These particles goes to all minor capillaries, all end arteries. They go to the vital organs. Vital organs. That is the most danger part of it. And what can happen to that? You see here, I will show you. That is about ambient atmosphere. Look at this. This is the household air pollution. Even that is also showing the placenta pathology, showing the household air pollution particles in the placenta. That means outside ambient atmosphere pollutants are also seen. Indoor air pollutants are also seen. That is the important thing here. So this maternal exposure can cause oxidative stress in the mother. And what this oxidative stress altogether, look at this. So one inhales oxidant. So this will cause an high oxidative stress, and thereby there will be, if the child is genetic susceptibility increases, what can happen even in the histone modifications, and thereby DNA methylation changes, and that alters the RNA expression, and finally the protein synthesis is altered. And we all know this is the functional unit of every human cell, isn't it? So every cell is prone for the side effect. Similarly, respiratory cells. This is the beauty. And what can happen? Immune system. Look at this immune system. This immune systems, see the helper cells, they can also change. I will show you how they changes. And so this is the most important thing which can happen. They alter the human immunity. The fetal immunity is altered, and they will get, T1 cells will decrease the production of interferons, and T2 cells, Th2 cells will produce increased interleukin levels. So that is what is the most dangerous thing. And this dysregulation of the immune system, finally, everywhere, these are the protective phenomena. This is reduced and this is increases, and this will cause inflammation in the respiratory mucosa. So even in the alveoli and all along the respiratory tract, the inflammation is set because without the pathogen, the pollution itself has set the inflammation, and inflamed mucosa is more prone for any type of infection. Any type of infection. So look at this. So here also the macrophages are also dysregulated, and even inflammatory cells also increased. And these immune cells, when they alter their functions, automatically the child is more prone for any pathogen. Though it looks a common cell, the normal flora of the respiratory tract, they themselves can start producing pneumonia in the newborn. So this is what is the changes which can happen with all this pollutants at the intrauterine level. That is what is the beauty. So this study has shown air pollution during pregnancy and lung functions in newborn. This is a very important thing, and higher respiratory need and airway inflammation in the newborns has been documented. In this context, we also did a study way back in 2010. I had an opportunity to present this paper in an international conference. What it showed us is we went to the industrial area in Davangere. There is an industrial area, puffed rice industry. They use tire for a fuel. Okay, the tire waste is being used as a fuel for, and look at this. This is the area. You can see always this will be fog like this, and so much of pollution there. And we did a lung function of children, though they did not had any respiratory symptoms. School going children more than 8 years up to the 18 years of age. And we also taken another school which is residing in the green zone, residential school. It is away from cities and in the village. And we compared the body mass index. And what they have shown is, there is, look at this, this less than 5% was highest in school A. This is the school which is situated in the industrial area. And look at their body mass index. As you see there, and a good body mass index is seen in a school which is situated in the rural area where there is a green zone. And if you see the lung functions, though children are not having any symptom, no cough, no fever, no hurried breathing, child are going to school. But problem is they have a restrictive lung disease. Their lung capacities are less. The volumes are less. And this is a very important thing. We have published this in one of the index, PubMed index journal. And you can see there 42% had obstructive airway disease and 20% had a restrictive airway disease, compared to a school which is situated in the rural area where they had only 7%. That means even rural area also there is a restrictive lung disease, but in these areas it is almost threefold more than the rural schools. This was an eye opener for us. That means the children they are born, they are growing shorter. Their lung capacities are less. They have already restrictive lung disease, and they are the one which will more prone for pneumonia, and they are the one who are more prone for later COPDs, chronic obstructive disease. And that has set in probably in utero itself. When mother was pregnant, she had exposed to so much pollutants. Her fetus had already lung damage, and the damaged lung is showing restrictive lung disease. This is the most important study. And this is very common scenario with all, in rural parts of the India. And they emit lot of, these are the sources they use: gas stoves, propane engines, fireplaces, candles, incisive sticks. And this is a common scenario in most of the houses. And this also produces pollution. Indoor also they produce. This is a very common. You see this. This is a mosquito coil. I will tell you the story. And look at this, 12 billion coils are sold every year. And one coil is equal to burning 100 cigars. And one cigar burn will emits nearly 4,000 pollutants. Nearly 4,000 pollutants. Out of that, 300 and odd are carcinogenic to child. And imagine if you are burning coil, look at the 12 billion coils are sold every year. And this is a surprising thing for us. And we don't know, without our knowledge, we are adding so much pollution. So that should not happen. That should not happen indoor. Why I'm talking about this and why we are worried about this. Indoor pollution is 10 times more dangerous than outdoor pollution for child. And all the more if a child is less than 4 years, they don't go out. They're always inside the house with the mother. They cannot go out because they have not, still able to walk alone. If they play inside only. And they are more prone for this. And in India, still, the recent study showed that 73% households are using biomass fuel for one or the other reason. Leave about cooking. For one or the other reason. And some of the reason, they use this biomass fuel for heating the room in northern part of the country where there is a cold extreme extreme cold areas are there. So that is what is we should see. And look at this, 1.3 million deaths in India each year, nearly 13 lakh. My goodness. So much of pollution happens because of indoor. And this chart tells you that, look at this, 56% of attributable mortality under the age of 4 years is because of indoor air pollution. And that amounts to nearly 1 million children under 5 years die every year due to solid fuel use. That alone adds so much of pollution. So much of pollution. And major junk is respiratory problems. That is the reason we all need to be aware of it. Why the children are so prone? Because they inhale more pollutants per kilogram, because they breathe rapidly compared to adults. You might have seen newborn is up to 60 per minute, but you and me breathe about 15 to 17 per minute, almost 3 to 4 times more. And they breathe more amount of time and more amount of air compared to per kilogram body weight. And because airways are narrow, they get irritated very quickly and they give very hyper response. And that is what. And best example is you see here, a child of, pediatric airway will be 4 millimeter. 1 millimeter of airway edema causes because of inflammation. Child has to breathe almost, it reduces 75% of the cross section of the airway, and child almost 16-fold it has to work more to breathe that much of required air. That means a minimum amount of inflammation in the airway can cause so much problem to the child. And whereas same in the adult, it doesn't matter. Only twofold you have to put an effort. Probably we all are in Bangalore, maybe in this range. We are breathing 2 times than the required because of our airway inflammation. So this is what is the important thing. In this context, we did a study, and this study was testing the lung function of the children who are having biomass fuel using for cooking. So we choose 2 schools, the children who are residing in the houses wherein they are using biomass fuel. And we found significant decrease in the lung functions in the children who are residing in the biomass fuel using houses. So that is very, very important. What it tells us that definitely without our knowledge, we are putting our children into risk by using biomass fuel. Number 2, this is a standard. People think that it is the affiliation or I don't know. And smoking, it doesn't sound like this. Look at the style. And this, what it can cause, you just see here. I will show you the magnitude. In Southeast Asia, nearly 50 to 70% passive smoking is there. And number of women, reproductive age, who smoke is increasing gradually. Look at this, 82,000 to 99,000 young people start smoking every day. The new customers. So this, what can happen? I will tell you, similarly to the mosquito coil, if you smoke cigarette in your car, even though your glasses are down, and take the child in the same car, it is as good as asking your child to spend overnight in the club wherein full of smokers are there. You may think that I'm smoking with my glasses down, but it is what happens. What this second-hand smoke can cause our children. Look at this, 70% more respiratory problems and 38% increase in the pneumonia and hospitalization. And 20% of all infant deaths could be avoided if all pregnant women quit smoking. So there is a lot of damage happening just without knowledge. So we all need to be aware about this. And look at this, 60% of acute respiratory illness, 40% of chronic respiratory illness, asthma, and otitis media, even childhood cancer, which is all because of second-hand smoking. And this is a very important thing. And in our daily practice, we ask, the parents say, no, I don't smoke at home. I smoke outside and come. I smoke in the balcony. I don't smoke inside the room. Okay, so but what can happen? Imagine. So the passive smoking is very, very dangerous. And this, even our study has also shown the same thing. And the children who are residing in the houses where parents are smokers, though they did not had any respiratory problem at the time of the study, but their lungs have shown that small airway diseases. Already small airway diseases have set in, and they are the one who are going to develop as asthma and pneumonia later in life. And that is why we should be careful about this second-hand smoking. This is another important thing. So what about third-hand smoke? So this can happen with every one of us. We will not be knowing. We just enter the hotels, bars, restaurants, where somebody had a smoke and left, and get stuck to the soft surfaces like curtains, carpets, and that we will inhale. So this react with the nitric oxide, and that's a very, 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 very dangerous carcinogen. And being around third smoke also boost biomarkers linked to oxidative stress. So whatever I have shown you, the amount of stress caused to the mother in turns to the fetus, that can happen without knowing, without even being a smoker. If you are exposed, this can happen to us. So ultimately, this summary is very important. Look at this flow. When children and adolescents more vulnerable to air pollution. This is how what can happen. Slowly, what will happen? And exposure is different from adults in the schools and no in the commuting buses, and they spend time more in the outdoor. And how pollution affects children? As I said, they born with a low birth weight, and they will have an asthma and lung function altered. They will have high risk of respiratory infections. They will have a otitis media, ear discharge, and finally they will develop allergy and allergic rhinitis. All those things can happen with these children when they exposed. These are some of the landmark studies which I have shown. They are the eye opener for us. Look at this. What is happening here? Out of 3,25,000 participants, and they have been followed up for 19 years. And what they have shown is the nitrogen oxides associated with 10 to 12% increase in pneumonia, especially influenza. And it has also combined with the mortality. And another landmark study I will show you. This is associated between pollutants and pneumonia requiring hospitalization among children under the age of 5 years. What it tells us is, see, look at this. There is a 10 unit increase if they are exposed to the pollutants, and the concentration, as there is a concentration of pollutant increases, even there is an increase in pneumonia and asthma in children. So that means need not be thinking like that only this much level of pollutant will have a dangerous. Even the lowest level also has got some amount of risk. They will also cause pneumonia. They will also cause asthma. But as the concentration of the pollutant increases, the simultaneously pneumonia incidence increases, severity increases, hospitalization increases. That's why we should be aware. And another important study, look at this. This is about household air. I was telling you about indoor pollution. What this study has shown is, if the indoor air pollution is more and the children have got a pathogen carrier stage, this Streptococcus pneumoniae is a pathogenic organism, and this carrier state has been increased tremendously in these children, those who are exposed to indoor air pollution. That's why we should be aware about this. What finally I'll tell you, the climate change, it has led into very important thing. One is on air pollution. Number two is on allergens. Number three is on nutrition. Number four is on mental health and stress. You may not feel it directly, but ultimately it finally lands up like this. Look at this. Outdoor, you will have so many sources for pollution. Ambient air pollution, outdoor air allergens, community level social environment, building environment, extreme weathers, heavy metal toxicity, and the temperature. And indoor, as I said, second-hand smoke, indoor allergens, indoor air pollution, especially biological agents, molds and all. And all this was led into many problems. And finally, the biological program is altered. Every level, I had told you, genomics, even to the extent of metabolomics, and even microbiome, all are altered. So every level there is a problem because of this pollution. Finally, it is landing up with a disease. I can take another 5 minutes about knowing the unknown cellular level. What is this exposome and epigenetic alteration? This is finally happening with our pollution. What can happen? Look at this. I told you, no, this is every level: genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, and metabolomics. So omics, that means what is happening at the cellular level is because of pollution. I think here many young scientists are there. They will be knowing much more about me. I am a clinician, but I can correlate this. What can happen to the child? Look at every level. Every level, that is what is important. Internal exposure, external exposure. All together, there is going to be change in the molecular biology of the every cell. That is the most important thing. And this is how the mechanism takes place. I have already explained this. And what can happen? Traffic related air pollution is associated with microbial dysbiosis. That means whatever gut is harvesting our flora, the respiratory system is invariably resistant to it. It will have a good defense mechanism. But because of pollution, this axis is altered. Entero-respiratory axis. Entero-respiratory axis is altered. That's why the child is getting repeated infection. And the future of pulmonary medicine needs to include exposome-based approach. That means we all need to understand that what cellular changes happens, what type of pneumonia, what type of respiratory problems, how fast they land up in chronic lung diseases. All we need to understand about this. So look at this with very important things. Increasing the particulate matter of 2.5 level during specific prenatal window, third trimester, associated with decreased mitochondrial DNA in the cord blood. It is a marker of oxidative stress. So that is what is happening. So infants at a risk of pneumonia were reported to exhibit transient gut microbial dysbiosis. As I said, the children who have born and developed a pneumonia, if they try to study the gut biosis, that is altered completely. And every cell in the body has got an interlink, and they are many times dependent on each other. And one system is altered, it is going to affect other system. So that is why we need to understand all this. And finally, the very important pollutant which are there in indoor are solvents, that is volatile organic compounds. Look at this. All these are there in every one of our house, irrespective. Even if you are staying in your hostel, don't be under the impression that I am not at home. I am in the hostel. I will show you the pictures. You have so much pollutant in your rooms. Look at this. All are there. Nail polishes, beautification materials, talcum powder, perfumes, room fresheners, bathroom cleaners, whatnot. Resins, curtains, upholstery, and polished cupboards, chairs, tables, whatnot. Everything which smells emits a volatile organic compound. More it smell, it emitting more amount of pollutants. So that is why we should be careful, and it can have a respiratory system in all the level. Okay. And look at this organic. They can irritate, they can produce, they will have breathing difficulties, skin rashes, headache, dizziness, loss of consideration. You can just think of it. You will develop all these without your knowledge. If somebody clean the bathroom today and you come out and next day you will have a headache. You will have a dizziness. You feel you don't know what was the cause. And you use some room freshener or incisive stick, and you attend or you go to the temple and come back, you will have this type of issues. It is because of those pollutants. We'll have to be very careful about all these things. And finally, the biological pollutants, we are very much aware about this: animal dander, dust mites, molds, infectious agents, pollutants. You can see these are all there in every one of our houses: air conditioning system, water vapors, humidifiers, stagnant water around our house, garden, broken tires, bottles, pots where which can hold the fresh water from the rain, and they are the sources, and mattresses, upholstery. And this is a very common scenario in most of our old houses, and this can relate to all this type of history, irritations, everything. So be careful. I'll just share one example. This child came to us, 13-year-old, with a hurried breathing and vomiting blood, or it is coughing out the blood. That is hemoptysis. And like any one of us, we also diagnose it as a pneumonia, started treatment, but second day, third day, it didn't improve. And the child went on deteriorating, and we put him on ventilators. And investigation shows that he's got already multi-organ failure. And this child, look the X-ray, everyone can feel that this child has got a pneumonia. But what happened? If you are not aware about the environmental history, and whatever so far I have told, if you are not aware, you will not think. In many times you will miss this child. And finally, this child can land up in fatal, event. And on day 3, with a good history, we diagnosed that this child is residing in a rented house, which was very dampy and moldy. And that made me to think of, rare conditions, and did a bronchoalveolar lavage on this child, sent for an investigation. Believe me, this was aspergillosis, biological pollutant. And this child, we could able to save this child, and child survived and went home. And finally, ozone is also, as I said, if the ozone exposure increases, there will be interleukins and even the intracellular radiation molecules and droplet levels of protective antioxidants. They all will have in bronchoalveolar lavage. So what I am telling is, without our knowledge, all these pollutants at a various intensity and different levels and at various cell level, they are acting. What we can do, how we should mitigate this. One is action plan. The government has already announced National Clear Air Program. That means to achieve 20 to 30% reduction in particulate matter 10 and 2.5 by 2024. Air quality information collection and dissemination, very important program. And we should all have a good ventilated buildings. It's a science by itself. I'm not going in detail about this. We are sitting here, everyone is emitting pollutants, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, even oxygen will be reduced. If this house is not well ventilated, there are many things which can happen. Human activity, equipments, animals, all those can emit pollutants. So we need to have a good ventilation. At least they say 6 cycles of airflow should be there in an hour. That will give to very good important. And there are formulas, as I said, the architecture itself is a science. So we need to study in detail if you are planning for a house. And there are so many things needs to be addressed to have a good ventilation and lighting in the house. So that is what is matters. These are all our old house which had a very good ventilation, circulation, and vastu. Vastu, but not for only for the prosperity. It is for good health also we need. Okay. And these are the beautiful plants which have got the ability to emit oxygen, absorb formaldehyde and even carbon dioxide and many other pollutants. They can beautify our house and also give a good health to all of us. So these are some of the plants. These are the botanical names. And there are commercially available some of the portable air cleaners. But don't be under the impression that they clean completely the air. Don't go to showroom and buy the air filter or air cleaners. They are usually tailor made. Individually, you have to order for it. It all depends upon what pollutant you want to filter. That's how the manufacturer will make for you. And it all depends upon what space you are using. And you can't keep it in the corner of house. It has to be in the center. And it will give the how much area it is going to clean. So lot many information is needed before you are buying the filter or air cleaners. It is not just one air cleaner. If I purchase, my house is completely free of pollutants. No, don't be under that impression. Okay. Finally, eliminate control and source of pollution. This is very important. Unless you have a improved stoves, regular maintenance, especially AC is a double-edged weapon, I will tell you. AC, if you are not maintaining according to the norms of the manufacturer and trained by a good, otherwise it is going to, hamper everything. On contrary, it itself becomes a source of, pollution production, especially the biological agents. And education is very important. Every level education matters. If you are aware about this, you can take care of yourself, children, family, community, healthcare workers. And finally, you can see what is important is policymakers. They all should be aware about this. And then only all our children can be saved. If you don't take all these measures, these are not far ahead, wherein we all need to wear a mask for our dinner. Okay, this is not far away if you don't take care today. So my sincere acknowledgement to my teacher, my mentor, Parmeshwar. Because of his blessings, I could able to, get an interest in this subject, made some of these studies and show interest in this. We have produced a module which will be on indoor air pollution and child health. And in the next month, we are also going to launch a module on my child and my family. So that is what is the information I wanted to share with you all. And thank you very much for your patient hearing. Air pollution should never be the price of prosperity. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
Excellent. You all agree with that one. Right? So I learned a lot of things. I'm really proud and thankful. Greatest happiness for a teacher is learning from his student. I feel proud to say I was. So anyway, any questions, please? Yes.
Is irrelevant if outside air is polluted.
Definitely.
Inside is good, the outside air is clean. The outside is more polluted than inside. I think we should avoid ventilation.
It is 10 times more polluted.
Which one?
Inside.
Not true in Delhi.
No, sir. Outside air is polluted. Then inside it will be 10 times more than the outside. Because the pressure gradient, pollutants will come inside. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
See, it will alter the topical immunity of the respiratory tract. Long time, if a child has got inflammation because of virus, so the respiratory, mucosa will be altered. When that is a local, topical means that local immunity will be there. That is lost. So the child will be exposed for pathogenic organisms. Thereby they get the infection. Once they get infection, it becomes contagious. By pollutant, it is not contagious. So individual child will suffer alone. It will not be transmitted. But if it get infected by a pathogen, then it will be transmitted to others.
Any other questions? Yes. Indeed, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And some of the points what it made, single room dwelling study, where cooking, sleeping, and everything would happen using the agricultural waste, the cooking fuel, and all this thing. I think we have done a study in that context. 10.5 times more pneumonia. If cooking in a different room is definitely less. That has been done. And also he stressed very well about the size and water solubility of the pollutants. It affects where it is affected. Bigger molecule and water soluble gases affect the upper airway tract. And also he mentioned about the smaller the size, it crossed the placenta and it crossed the blood, entered the bloodstream, circulate all over the body. Radioisotope studies have been proved beyond that one. And also he has done carbon particulate. Earlier, Dr. Kulkarni and group has done it in London, where this carbon small particle, they deposit in the small airway. That's what he mentioned about it. Small airway, the silent zone, you will not be recognizing it. Even peak flow, what you do, you don't recognize it. So you have with full lung function and all this thing. And also he has done, he has taken the mucus from that macrophages, how much carbon particle is there in proportion to that lung function will come down. He has done the study, what Kulkarni has done earlier, 20 years back. It has proved beyond that, and we are proud of those. And I think recent study has gone fixed airway obstruction. The small particle entered the bloodstream pollutant. They're born with a fixed airway obstruction. The airway caliber always less. They suffer lifelong in the future. Your lung capacity increase up to 80 years and stabilizes after 50 years. Is every start coming down to 10 to 15 ml per year. I think that's going to come down. These people suffer lifelong. They need continuous medication, COPD, and all this thing going to come there. And so I think we are all worried about the Lysol cleaning. Not even a single germ has to be there. Lysol, Lysol, Lysol everywhere. Clean, 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 clean. I think we need some germs also. Lungs, originally we thought probably deep in the lungs is all sterile. We are not too sure now. Yes. We're not too sure now. There are commensal germs are living deep in the lungs also. They are protective. So every cell has got 10 germs. They're all protective germs. Protect as much as possible. If the pollution decreases their efficiency, we end up with a lot of problems. And also we mentioned about Vastu. That's what our elderly people will say. Build the house with good sunlight and all this thing. The sunlight, dust mites and everything, it clears up. And indoor plants, yes, we also recommend indoor plants is very good, but make sure remove the tray of water. Otherwise, you'll come with some other mosquito, dengue, and all this thing. Start blaming Kalapanavara and myself. Remove the tray of water once a week. Expose to sunlight once a week. These are all the things. And also, I think among the environmental issues, three of them I thought of. We have to healthcare society in young, uneducated mother. The pneumonia is much higher. Primary school, secondary school, college, educated mother studies have been done. So we have to educate the mothers. That's one of the risk factor. We can remove it. Second thing, children, the child care practices. What happens in Tamil Nadu area? Some ladies come to giving massage and then bath to the baby. After the bath, what happens? They put oil. They blow in the nose. That causing the aspiration pneumonia, chemical aspiration pneumonia. That practice we have to educate them. That can't avoid those blowing the oil. Lipoid pneumonia. So aspiration pneumonia, that one. And I think it has also been appreciated that pneumonia is much more in scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and backward community because of economic growth and living far away. They cannot approach the doctor. And also people after working in the field, morning goes there, doctor comes at 10, primary health at 10 o'clock and goes up around 5 o'clock. Those people coming there. This was one of the things, availability of the health care professionals during the other people time. These are all the issues for discussed in the UNICEF. I think we have taken care of it. And once again, it's a wonderful talk. We learned a lot of new things from you. Thanks a lot. And another thing pointed, ozone. WHO 2017, they say they worried only about the suspended particulate matter 10 and 2.5 and the tobacco smoke. I said in our country, WHO said we need ozone. Recently it has come 10 kilometers above is protective. Do not extremely irritant, and it is got a cumulative effect. 36% of the pneumonia death is coming from ozone as of a recent study 2023. So anyway, you have covered very well, sir. We are grateful for that one. And as a token of appreciation, we request to accept our small gift to memento. Afterwards, we are going to have a picture. And I have taken his permission. All this will be loaded to the YouTube. Yes.